Hello again, and welcome to what I truly believe will be the last drive home review for 2017. And boy howdy, are we going out on a confusing piece of cinema. So I don't even know where to start with this one. I really don't. I'm racking my brains trying to figure out what to say about it. This is one of those movies that everybody, the critics are all going crazy for, and they're all talking about, you know, James Franco and a great acting job he does, and all this, that, and the other thing. And I'd be lying if I said this movie didn't have its charming moments. But if I'm being honest with myself, I think its charming moments or its few actual laughs that I got from it pale in comparison to just how much of it I found just completely annoying and in a sense kind of reprehensible in terms of the characters or the people being portrayed. So if you don't know this story, this is one of those things. The Room is one of these movies, these so bad it's good movies that came out in early 2000s and has garnered kind of a very, very passionate cult following in much the same way Ed Wood films have garnered a cult following. There's been midnight screenings, you know, every internet critic has done an essay about it and all this. And you know, the maker, the director and writer and star, you know, Tommy Wiseau has become this kind of, you know, for lack of better terminology, this kind of fuck up celebrity. You know, this guy who fucked up so bad that, you know, that people just love him. And this is the movie kind of about the making of the movie. And the closest thing I can think of to compare it to is the Tim Burton film Ed Wood, about, you know, the life and, you know, somewhat sterilized version of Ed Wood, because that film didn't go into his rampant alcoholism, whereas this film doesn't really try so hard to hide Tommy Wiseau's negative character traits. But I feel like the Ed Wood film did a better job of getting its message across, and that's the problem with this one, is the message of it is very inconsistent and very, you know, I admit, first of all, let me say this, is that first of all, I've never actually seen The Room. So I'm saying that I've seen, you know, the Nostalgia Critic takedown of it and a couple of others, but I've never actually sat down and watched the movie. So this is not a film that I have deep affection for the, you know, the art that went into it, you know, as opposed to I am a fan of, you know, the Ed Wood films. I do have an affection for those. I think they're charming in their incompetence. Whereas, you know, I'm not a fan of this. This isn't my generation's, you know, thing, or at least not for me. So I'm going to say that right up front, because that could be a factor for my feelings on this film. Because, you know, maybe if you are a huge fan of this movie, or if, you know, you love the midnight screenings of it because it's just so cheesy and chintzy, you know, then, you know, fine. This film could be your Citizen Kane. But since I don't have that connection, I can only judge it kind of as I see it. And as I see it, both major characters in this are painted in just a awful, awful light. You know, and you never know whether you're supposed to sympathize with them or, you know, or what. And there are moments where it does work. Okay, let's talk about one of the moments that does work. There's a good moment at the very end where after all the comedy of making this movie, and when they finally have the premiere and everybody goes and everyone's laughing at it, and James Franco's, you know, Tommy Wiseau, you know, is crying, and he goes out into the hallway and his friend who made the movie with him and all that comes out, and he says, he says in this very annoying accent that he's using, "They're laughing at me, they're laughing at it," and his friend gives him this really great talk about, yeah, they are, but you made a movie, you did that. Not a lot of people can say that in life, and that is a moment that did connect with me, because obviously I'm not a big time Broadway or Hollywood director. I mean, I'm not fooling myself or anyone else, but I am a director. I am a playwright. I was a professional actor for a short time, and I can tell you from my first show I directed on my own for my honors project, I can tell you that I poured everything I had into that show. I was in my early 20s. I'd had a decent theatrical education, but hadn't had the life experience, but I did everything I could, and the critics ripped me apart. And I can tell you, that hurt. And I don't even remember what all the reviews said, honestly. But I can tell you that, it hurt me. It hurt me pretty bad. And so that moment where, his friend tells him, yeah, maybe it didn't come out the way you wanted, but you did it, that resonated. And I thought that was a really good moment. Aside from that, though, this film can't decide whether it wants you to sympathize with James Franco. And I'm going to just keep referring to him as James Franco, because I'm going to keep mispronouncing the actual, Tommy Wiseau's name, so I'm just going to go with James Franco. If they want you to sympathize with him, or laugh at him, or hate him, it can't decide within any couple minutes of itself. And, and there's another one, I gotta get this off my chest right off the bat. So, a lot has been made of, James Franco's acting in this, and it's such a great acting job. And yeah, they did this thing at the end of the film where they showed a clip from the actual movie, The Room, and a clip from, these actors playing those people. And yeah, he did a pretty spot-on imitation. But I mean, my God, listening to him talk for that long, it was just, and it really did feel like for the longest time, like that was the joke of the movie. This guy talks funny. And it just grated me. Oh my God. So I can't say for a fact that, yeah, this was a great acting job, because all it felt to me like he was doing was an impression. Didn't feel he was acting. He was just imitating the guy, and I don't consider that acting. I also feel this movie's message gets very, very muddled, because it keeps trying to hammer in this, reach for your dreams. Nobody's, people are gonna, always shout you down, and they're always gonna tell you can't do it and all that. But, if you just reach for your dreams, you can accomplish them. It really tries to hammer that home. But where that message is undercut is that, again, both of these characters are reprehensible in their own way. For instance, the other character, Greg, the whole story is basically about these two guys' friendship, so you can achieve your dreams if you're going in from Greg's point of view, if you mooch off of somebody who is paying with money you don't know where it's coming from. That's another thing. And apparently this is true, so it's, apparently he spent over $6 million on this movie, Tommy Wiseau did, and nobody has any fucking clue where this money came from. And that, to me, is a little, I don't know. But anyway, he has two apartments, one in San Francisco, one in LA, where he and Greg stay. So Greg's living rent-free, The guy writes a movie for you, albeit a terrible movie, but still writes it for him and all that. And so, yeah, you can achieve your dreams if you have someone paying your bills. On the other side of it, from from Tommy Wiseau's side, yeah, you can live your dreams no matter how bad you are if, you know, you've got this unquestionable resource of, you know, endless money to fall back on. Yeah, then you can go ahead and live your dreams and make whatever dud you want. You know, and I think, again, in comparison to the Ed Wood film, is that they really showed that, yeah, they never glossed over the fact that this guy wasn't a cinematic genius, but they were true to the fact that, you know, he begged, borrowed, and stole to get any money he could to make any movie he could. You know, and I think that is more a thing of determination. Oh, yeah, I've just got however many, you know, at least $6 million in the bank to make this, you know, fucking movie. You know? So yeah, so both, and that's the other thing about the Greg character, is like, so you, not only are you taking this guy's money, but you know right off the bat, and he knows right off the bat that this guy, that Tommy Wiseau, is not, you know, all there, that there's something wrong, and they hint that there was like a car accident or something where he got hurt, and they never really go into it, and I don't know, you know, but you know that whatever the cause, whether natural or as a result of this mysterious accident or whatever, you know that this guy is not, you know, is not functioning on the same level that, you know, his mind's not working on that same level. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but just saying, you know, he has, you know, he's got a weird sensibility. So you go with him and you're happy to take his money and all that, but then when he starts acting weird, then you're all like, oh, he's acting weird and holding me back. You fucking knew he was gonna do that. How could you not know he was gonna do that? You know? I think it's a, for me at least, it's a sad state of affairs when one of the nicest things I can say about a movie is that Seth Rogen was good in it. And God help me, yes, Seth Rogen was. And I know I'm inviting this by saying it, but don't anyone fucking dare say that I look like Seth Rogen. Don't fucking do it. Alright? I don't care how you mean it. Understand, I do not take that as a compliment. Alright? So, I have never liked Seth Rogen as a performer. This constant thing, people telling me I look like him, has not endeared him to me any further. But I must admit, he was good in this movie, and he had some of the few funny lines in this movie. So there you are. And I got to talk about that ending, you know, where they're showing. So the movie is fairly long, and with James Franco doing that annoying goddamn accent the entire time, it felt longer. So the movie ends, and then they do the side-by-side thing. You're like, okay, that's cute. It just keeps fucking going. It's like, okay, you made your point. Yes, you all worked really hard to recreate these scenes exactly as they were in the movie. Thank you. We get it. Can we end the fucking movie now, please? Show us 3 of the major clips from some of the more famous scenes, and we can, you know, we can go on from there. But no, they just kept going and going. And it's like, are we going to sit here and watch the entire goddamn Room? You've already tortured me enough with this thing. I got to watch this really shitty movie that now we're trying to hold up as this, you know, satiric masterpiece? I don't know. You know, and again, what I'm not trying to do is ironically, I'm not trying to diss The Room, even though I've never seen it, but I know it by reputation. For a couple reasons. Number one, I know that how hard it is to make something. And making a movie is about 1 billion times harder than directing a play. So even if you make the shittiest movie ever, the fact that you got it made is impressive. So I'm not trying to diss that. And, you know, in the same way I feel about it as I feel about Ed Wood's films, is that, so maybe it didn't come out the way you wanted, but I mean, you've made millions of people's, millions of people happy, like Kermit the Frog said. So, I think if you do that, then you can't be considered a failure. maybe not in the way you want to be remembered, but, you know, he seems to have taken it all in stride. But it is one of those films where it's like, I don't feel right at the end holding this thing up after everything you learn about these characters and everything you see them do. And I don't feel right now. Okay, let me put it this way. At the end of Ed Wood, and again, this could be just me having a certain amount of affection for the films of Ed Wood, but at the end of Ed Wood, despite the fact that it glosses over certain things, such as his very rampant alcoholism, you know, that's not even mentioned in the film. But at the end of Ed Wood, you feel this great emotion of, you know, good for you, buddy. You know, you really feel, you know, you want to applaud the guy and say, you know, you gave it the old college try, and God bless you for it. And maybe we should, you know, not pick on him so much and all that. You felt for the guy, and you felt like you appreciated his work in a different way now, even if they are still some of the worst monster movies ever made. In this, it's like, I didn't want to feel sympathy for this guy at the end. I didn't want to, you know, that when they tell you that he, thanks to midnight screenings and things, that this movie has basically made its money back, that actually made me mad. I was like, no, someone like that doesn't deserve it. You know, I'm sorry. I'm being very harsh here because, again, being an artistic person myself, I know how I'd feel if someone said that about me. I'm sure people have said that about me. I'm sure some of my students say that about me, honestly. This movie it's inconsistent. I do give James Franco credit as a director. I think he did a fairly good job directing it. You know, I think so that's a thing. Let me put the best way I can sum up this movie is that I'm in the process now, with the year coming to an end, of preparing the best and worst and meh lists. And as I was watching it, like it kept bouncing off of lists. You know, it kept going from one list to another, you know, with rapid succession. The first 20 minutes of it, or 30 actually, you're like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I got to rewrite my worst list. And then, you know, it kind of evens out, and you're like, oh, you know, well, maybe, you know, there's some decent parts here. Maybe it just took a little while to get going, and, you know, maybe it's a meh film. And then, you know, there's a moment where it lifts you up, and you're like, okay, maybe this is as good a film as people are saying it is. And then it tailspins again. You're like, well, fuck it. What is this? I can't say I hated this film, but I also cannot say that I enjoyed it. And I think the best way to kind of sum it up in the end is that, I guess, if The Room is one of those movies that you love ironically, you know, if it's like your generation's, maybe the Ed Wood films are too bad of a parallel. If The Room is your generation's Street Fighter, okay? If The Room is your generation's Batman and Robin, if The Room is your generation's Showgirls, you know, one of those movies that's so awful that it's somehow beloved. And don't give me the shit Batman and Robin isn't beloved. If people have been bitching about it this long, it's beloved. Even if it's just beloved being yelled at. Then maybe this is the movie for you. You know, seeing how this came into being you're gonna get something out of it. I, however, do not think it is this great masterpiece, and I don't think that James Franco did this amazing acting job. But, you know, again, if you're a fan of The Room, maybe you're going to get something out of it that I don't. So that's kind of my take on this one. So, again, wrapping up, this is, I can't see a situation where there'd be another one before 2018. You know, but I've been proven wrong before, but I believe this is the last Drive Home review of 2017. I'm going to be working on my best, worst, and meh lists to post probably after the new year. And then we'll be back with new stuff after the holidays. So the 20 people who watch these, we will return, kind of catching up on the holiday movies. and then go into the new stuff. And for everybody, you know, I'll do this. This has got, apparently I was told it was the hat that got this, so hang on a second. You know, there we go. So, you know, there we go. So, yeah, so to everybody out there, have a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Crazy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, whatever it is, I hope it's happy. Here's to let me get my $5 water. This is dragging it. Here's to a happy, healthy, and wonderful 2018. And for drive home reviews in 2017, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies next year.